Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is another episode of Drawing with Hannah, and you will probably notice that the template that I'm using has shown up before the sketches of them, and that is because I have used myself as a reference and I don't really feel comfortable showing myself on camera that much. So I decided to cut that out and skip to the part where the references are already drawn. So as you can see, I'm drawing a horde of zombies right now, and this is for a project that my mom and her friends are working on. They're working on a book, which I think is really cool, and I have the privilege to help them out with that, which is really nice. And not to mention, I am sorry that the quality of the drawing is really bad. I don't know why, but whenever I record the time-lapse, the pixels and the frame rate go down quite a bit. And I will apologize for the pixelation. And you will also probably see jumping between cuts because this recording was originally 25 minutes long, and that is way too long for YouTube, and I cannot talk that long. So I decided to cut it down to like 12 minutes, plus if it was 25 minutes long, most of the time you wouldn't be really seeing much. It would look like a paused screen, and that is because of the low frame rate and the pixelization of the drawing. And since most of this is really in detail, you wouldn't be able to pick out those details when I'm drawing it, so it just looked like a still image. So that's why I decided to cut it down, and also for attention span, and I can't talk that long. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about something more deep, I guess, and because I wanted to share my opinion on certain things, and make this platform a place where I could give advice sometimes. So the first thing I wanted to say is what often helps me whenever I'm in a situation where I'm extremely stressed out, I like to think that I'll take it one step at a time. Not to say that this method will be used and it will take all of your anxiety away. I'm just saying that it helps me cope with it. It's called, I just take one step at a time. Basically, I use it whenever I have multiple days in a row where I have a stressful situation. And instead of thinking of all those situations in the moment, which will make me spiral, I think of it as one step at a time. I'll think about today, which is still a stressful day, but I will try to push tomorrow, which is another stressful day, away. And I'll only think about today. Even as tomorrow comes closer, like when I go to bed, I try to think about falling asleep and not about the next day. Again, this is not going to help you cure your anxiety about worries you have for multiple days in a row or the next day that you're having, but it will help you cope with it. And that's what it's done for me. It's helped me cope with that kind of thing. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that it's okay to tell other people how you feel. I have had a hard time with that because sometimes you'll begin to spiral, and the first thing, taking one step at a time, will not work as well. So if that doesn't work, I usually try to tell people when I can. Try to tell them what kind of problems I'm going through, because I know it can sometimes be extremely hard to do that. Oftentimes you might feel guilty about telling other people about your problems. It might feel like you're dumping your issues onto someone else. But as long as you are talking to someone that you trust and that you love, it doesn't have to be a family member, but just someone that you trust, I can assure you that they will feel like it is not a burden. Because whenever you tell somebody, I can tell you for certain that they will feel happy that you were able to tell them. Because whenever somebody else tells me something deep or something that they're going through, sure, I might feel pity for them, I might feel sad for them, but I feel happy that they are able to tell me and that they're able to trust me with such sensitive information. So the pros outweigh the cons for telling somebody. If you were to not tell somebody about how you feel and bottle up those emotions, if they find out what you've been hiding, it might hurt them even more than you telling them, because hiding it from them would make it feel like they're not trustworthy enough, which is okay if the person you're talking to you're not very comfortable with. But I do recommend finding someone that you are really close to, that you could talk to about issues that you might have. And I do have multiple, which I am really blessed to have. But sometimes, even with multiple people I can come to, I still feel like there is no one, which I know is kind of out there. But that does happen whenever I get extremely sad and down, and I can only focus on the moment. But if you ever have moments where you start to spiral and you really aren't looking for the next day, maybe you have an exam or something, it's just really stressful, I recommend the night before that stressful day, you go to bed and you try to, this is kind of dark, but this does help me. You go to bed and you pretend that tomorrow does not exist. Tomorrow is not a thing. You will not wake up in the morning. Okay, that's a little dark. But think of it like tomorrow is not your problem. That is future you's problem. I mean, the way I think of it is kind of dark, but it does help me to think that tomorrow is not a thing. Only focus on trying to fall asleep, because in my opinion, I love sleep, and a lot of people do. When I was younger, I didn't like sleep, but now I do. So that's what I like to think about. If I feel trapped in a situation, I try to look for things that I can look forward to, and sometimes the things I look forward to are like years away, so that will make me sad. But you have to find little things in the day. If I have an awful day at school, for example, I try to think about going home, because I know when I go home, that stress will most likely start to dissipate, or go away, I would say. And it would allow me to calm down because I'm out of that stressful situation. So always having something to look forward to when you're in a dark time really does help, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. And again, don't feel trapped and not being able to tell people how you do feel, because I mean, it really helps to, tell people how you feel in a certain situation. Most of the time, I go to bed and that's when my brain goes all haywire and I start thinking about all like horrible things that I'm dreading. And sometimes I'll tell my parents, or maybe talk to a friend on FaceTime. And it's kind of nice to tell people how I feel in that moment, because it allows me to focus on things that are other than my problems. And at the end, if you are around good people, they will say, "Thank you for letting me know." And sometimes they don't have to give you advice. In my opinion, a lot of the times, it's always good to just listen. If you have a friend that is going through a tough time and they come to you and you don't know what to say, most likely that person is just looking for someone that they could understand them, or just for you to listen to them, because sometimes maybe that person might not be listened to that often, and sometimes it's really good to talk to someone and they're just listening, because that's what a lot of people that I know love to do. If you don't know what to say, you could just listen. You don't always have to come up with advice for people on how to change their situation, but listening is a really big thing. Basically, that's what I do a lot. If I have a friend that is going through an awful time, going through some problems, and I don't know how to come up with a situation where I could solve their issue, I just listen. And most people like it when people listen to them, because that does help a lot. And maybe it might not solve the issue, but it does help to have someone listen to you. So yeah, that's another rant of mine. Again, I wanted to let you know that sometimes it might be tough to talk about that kind of stuff, but make sure to always have at least one person that you trust enough that you can go to when you are feeling stressed, sad, angry, because having that support can be one of the best things in that time of distress. But yeah, those are some issues that I have problems with, and since I have problems with those kinds of things, I feel like I am capable of coming up with ways to cope with it, because I know a lot of people do go through that kind of stuff. A lot of people feel stressed out and feel like their problems are a burden on other people. But again, your problems are not a burden. Your problems are valid, and people can listen to your problems, and that is totally fine, because if you tell someone your issues, a person that you really trust, they will be thankful that you have told them. They will be thankful, and they will realize how much you trust them. And at the end of the day, they will feel good about it. If someone comes up to me and tells me about their issues, I might feel sad for them, yes, but I also feel glad that they're able to come to me and tell me how they really feel. And it makes me feel like a good person, honestly. Another thing that I deal with that is quite an issue is feeling lazy. I know a lot of people also deal with that, especially since it's summertime. I usually don't have this problem during, school time, because I keep myself busy. I'm always in class, studying, doing homework and stuff. But now since it's summertime, I don't really have anything to do. And that is fine. I don't always have to be productive in order to feel accomplished. And yes, it is okay to have break times, yes, because sometimes I just feel like I haven't accomplished anything in that time. And I know a lot of people deal with that, but just remember that it is okay to have days where you rest, even if it's 3 months, heck. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about, really. This drawing is almost done. Again, sorry for the pixelation. I don't know why it does that, but hopefully when I zoom into the picture, it will look better, as you can see. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.